clarification.
Councillor Hills.
Through Mr. Chair, just a brief sort of comment around the, I'm not sure if you've been able to be over every project, but the unlock projects in Takapuna and Northcote are really, really exciting, but also the Northcote way that Panuku has worked, I think, has been fantastic. The community in so many different facets has been involved, and there's a lot of challenges there. It's a low socioeconomic area, and there's lots of businesses owned by migrants who often can't speak English, and I think that the team has worked really well there, and I just think my only experience is with Northcote, but I don't know how wide it's been, I think. But yeah, just saying we've got a plan for the future generations, but I think if you bring the people along with you, it's actually quite a positive outcome. And the local board, being on the local board there, we've been very, I feel very updated by Panuku, so thank you very much.
Thank you. That's fantastic news. I think Northcote is an incredible project, and I've spent some time there in the course of my limited 2 weeks here, but to get a real sense of what's going on. And certainly as our organisation, we are committed to the whole regeneration of that area. And part of that is about actually looking at the much wider, more holistic approach, and then drilling down to what we can deliver in order to deliver some quick wins in early time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you.
Councillor Darby. Hello.
Thank you. Look, I'd like to start off and acknowledge I've just had the briefing on Northcote and Takapuna, and I'm just absolutely gobsmacked at the pace that and the quality that's been delivered in such a quick time. And we had the Auckland Transport Chair here earlier talking about, you know, lubricating the decision making. We want to know what your oil is, please, because the board and management have done extremely well. There's no question. I guess and now I'll come to my questions really. There's the patting on the back. In terms of housing for the elderly or older persons, I'm aware of quite a significant vacancy rate. It's 7 or 8% across our stock. I hope I don't sound too sort of mechanical and commercial when I talk about stock, but let's just talk about the housing units. That is quite considerable when you talk about when we've got a chronic housing crisis in Auckland and our own home base has a 7% vacancy rate. And I'm looking at some stats that have come through for me. Some of these units on the North Shore have been vacant for up to 2 years. And I know, Roger, you're coming to this only 2 weeks from West Africa, and welcome. I should express that to you. But it does concern me, you know, just how quickly, and you've obviously performed well in other areas, how quickly we can get on top of our housing problem, the one that's right at home with us. 1,400 units overall. We've got quite a significant vacancy rate, and fingers are going to be pointed at government, at us, and how quickly can we get on top of the refurbishment program so that we get these units occupied?
That was not supposed to happen. No, it's a very valid point. And certainly from my perspective, it's imperative that we actually take each site individually and look how we can bring that stock back to market. There is a sense, I think, that on a number of opportunities, the stock is actually being kept as part of a redevelopment opportunity, and a lot of those units are actually unfit for habitation. And so the real crux between the two is, do we do a refurbishment program on those stock in order to get them back into the market today and spend a lot of capex associated with that? Or do we look at the much wider opportunity in terms of regenerating that piece and delivering a better quality stock in a much more cohesive manner? So I think there's a number of paths running in parallel. What I would say is that, and our role in this particular piece is about the unlocking of that land and facilitating those programs going forward. We don't have a functional role on the ground in terms of managing those units. And that's perhaps food for thought in terms of the future as to how that might look like.
Okay, thank you.
With respect to Manukau Central, hello.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. With respect to the Manukau Central redevelopment, and I'm not sure if it's a question for you, Panuku, or if it's actually a question for the Mayor in terms of the letter of expectation. But wouldn't, I mean, we're talking about a major, it's a place-shaping initiative. It's a very, very transformational one. And I'm just wondering if that is the kind of project that really needs to be coming back to the elected membership of the governing body before it gets board approval and before we progress much further, because this is going to be a project that's going to require significant public funding here, probably through the governing body as well as the local boards. So I'm wanting to understand where we fit into the place shaping, understanding that Panuku has a strategic role in leading projects such as this, but there is a significant role and function for the elected membership here, and so I'm wanting to know how we fit into that.
Okay, so and please answer.
And it may be through the letter of expectation, I
yeah,
understand.
Just
So if
say
it's not through...
No, just saying, Councillor Newman, we've got 20 minutes of presentation. It's getting quite deep into it, but there'll be an answer, but we just all need to be reflective. I know that.
Mr. Chair.
There is a joint liaison board that is now regularly meeting.
Okay.
And at the same time, we keep the shareholder fully informed in advance of making, with our recommendations. So you will have information in council about what is going to happen at the right time for you to approve. The main thing is that you've been involved in the approval, firstly, of the high-level project plan, and we've now got to the framework plan, which is a large document in itself with a lot more detail in it, and I'm just not sure whether that, I don't think that is coming to you yet. I think it's March 17 from memory.
With the business case.
Yes.
Approval.
So
by the
you'll
20.
get the framework plan with a business case coming to council in the first quarter of next year. I think it's March 17. I'm just not 100% sure of that.
Will Mr. Chair, will we be able to get some local board exposure on that so the local boards in that area can participate in that conversation, not just receive the reports on it, because I believe that they'll have a significant interest in it.
The local boards have been consulted and are being consulted regularly. So I don't know whether others wish to comment on that, but it's not a case of leaving them out. In fact, there's many stakeholders that are being consulted as we go from high-level project plan to a framework plan and
Right.
finally to an implementation plan. So if the local boards feel they're not being consulted, we would like that feedback because it's our intention always to keep them informed, because they have heard so much in the past about Manukau and how it's going to be developed, and nothing happens. And so we understand that, and that's also come out of the consultation. So we do want to take the local community with us in the transformation of Manukau.
I think, Councillor Newman, there is a bit more consultation there than you realise. I know, certainly speaking for the Western boards, they're more than happy with the ongoing consultation that Panuku gives, and I'm sure Panuku are doing it equitably across the region.
And certainly from my perspective, I've had very, very good feedback so far on all of the transformation projects, including consultation with the iwi groups. And the feedback so far has been we are consulting. We are on a journey, and it's important to appreciate that. And we're taking them along on that journey.
Okay, I'll check with local boards in my area
Yeah.
how they feel. Thanks.
No problems.
Right, we have Mayor Goff and we have Councillor Filipino.
Very quick, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Roger, thank you. It's good to have you here, and welcome to the new job.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoy your time here. The two questions. Firstly, with regard to the Civic Administration building, the contracts are not yet locked down.
No.
When will we have certainty about that?
Should be later this month, late April. Yeah.
Approximately April 17,
Okay.
because there is tripartite agreements with the bank to be sorted, as well as the review of the economics. But April 17 is the target, and we expect to meet that date.
Great, thank you. The second is in regard to the cloud, which I understand strangely is administered by you rather than RFA. I can't quite figure that, but since you're administrating, you're operating it, can you tell us what you think the future of the cloud will be. The advice I get from a different source is that it's non-commercial, that it requires quite a lot of expenditure on it in terms of maintenance, and probably it should be removed. But I'm interested in your experience, Richard. You're probably the best person to answer this. What do you think the future of the cloud might be?
Well, we are well aware that a future for the cloud needs to be decided. The second thing is that there are a number of options for the cloud, but we think in the long term, not the short term, that it will be removed from Queen's Wharf.
Okay. When people tell me it's non-commercial, why is it non-commercial?
Well, it's just the amount of, shall we say, usage, paid usage of the cloud, and that's probably the reason they say that.
Yeah, I understand that. I suppose the question is, why aren't we getting better utilisation of it? Have you done any analysis of that? And is it possible to turn that situation around?
We are certainly looking to maximise both the use of Shed 10 and the cloud. Certainly the cloud is not as popular as Shed 10. I can't give you a quick answer to why that is the case. I can tell you that the World Masters Games is going to make use of both facilities when they're on in Auckland, but it doesn't get the same amount of usage as the Shed 10.
Thank you.
I think just on that point, Shed 10 is very much a piece of history. It's a heritage building, and it's a building that's very, very popular with a wide variety of groups. I mean, just to give you a sense, I don't think there's a Saturday left next year
Really?
for that facility to be used. It's fully occupied. Obviously, it's available other times of the year as well. The challenge with the cloud is obviously it's a very large open structure. It's not air conditioned. It's a difficult place to heat during the winter as well. I spent some time down there yesterday to get a sense of the place. And obviously it is a temporary structure, and it has a phenomenal amount of costs associated with it in terms of operating it. So I think, as Richard has alluded to, the long-term plan is certainly to take that site and redevelop it for other uses and try and put some commercial benefit back in there.
Okay, thank you.
To save time, Chair, I'll talk to them after this.
Okay, right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for waiting. And I know Watercare's going to throw their hands in the air, but I'm just going to call a 5-minute break because we've sat here for 3 hours. I truly apologise, but we're getting close to breaching standing orders if I don't call for a break. And please, can I say to councillors, please be back in 4 minutes, just out of courtesy to Watercare, who have been sitting there patiently.